Hello, this is Dr. Kim Raes, and I'm here to talk to you about careers in veterinary medicine. So most of you are familiar with veterinarians in private practice, who are the animal doctors that see pets and other livestock to both help keep them healthy and also diagnose and treat sickness. There's a lot of other facets to veterinary practice. Some veterinarians go on to specialize in certain disciplines like surgery or go into teaching and research. There are veterinarians that are active in the military, also veterinarians working in industry and marketing and in regulatory medicine. But one thing in common is that veterinarians have fun at work. We have the best patients, and there's so many exciting possibilities with this career. So I think most of us can agree that pets are family too. And as a veterinarian, you get to be the other family doctor. Sometimes our furry friends get into trouble, like Vader here, who was playing over at Surfside Beach and got bitten by a snake. He was helped by both local veterinarians, and then when he needed more specialized care, went and saw the specialists at Gulf Coast Veterinary Specialists in Houston. And together they all got him patched up and back home doing what he loves. So in private practice setting, traditionally a lot of veterinarians work in a hospital or a small clinic, as you see at the right of the screen. But some veterinarians actually have their hospital in a mobile kind of a setting, which is shown on the left-hand side of the screen. And some of these mobile hospitals are fully equipped with surgery suites and x-ray capability and can bring the hospital to your doorstep, which is another wonderful thing. So let's talk a little bit about specializing. Up in the right-hand corner, you can see Gulf Coast Veterinary Specialists. They're up in Houston. That is a hospital that has specialists of all different types. There's veterinarians who specialize in treating cancer, seeing skin diseases, eye diseases. There are veterinarians there, as you see here, that specialize in treating exotic animal species, birds, reptiles. Here is an instance of specializing in animal dentistry. This doggy is getting a root canal for his broken tooth. You can see here on this cat's x-ray that there's a disease spot there. So those veterinarians who specialize in animal dentistry will see all species of animals for their dental problems. Some veterinarians specialize in radiology. Now you can see on the screen here that we have x-rays of different animals. This is a dog that ate a whole bunch of erasers. There's one that ate a bottle cap. And this is actually an x-ray of a Komodo dragon from the Houston Zoo that had broken his front leg. Private practice veterinarians use x-rays on a daily basis. We are trained in vet school to take x-rays and to interpret them. But some veterinarians will specialize in radiology, not only for x-ray capability, but also when we need more specialized imaging studies such as ultrasound, CT, and MRI. And I can tell you in private practice, sometimes it's really helpful to consult with a specialist, get a second opinion on x-rays, in addition to trying to get some of these more specialized types of studies. Again, some veterinarians will specialize in seeing what they consider exotic animals, and boy, your patients could look like anything at that point. One thing that I want to point out here when we look at the next slide is that some veterinarians will specialize in zoo medicine. They will literally go to learn about that and go work at zoos. These photos are courtesy of the Houston Zoo. The Houston Zoo has its own veterinary hospital on site with its own staff veterinarians. And you kind of get into wildlife medicine as well with this. These are some Kemp Ridley sea turtles that actually were found in the Gulf here locally and had tangled with some fishing line and fish hooks, and these creatures were brought up to the Houston Zoo and rehabilitated, sedated, x-rayed to make sure none of the fish hooks were internal, and then sedated and have those removed, rehabilitated, and set back free into the wild. And of course, they have captive breeding programs. These are tenrecs, which are little cousins of hedgehogs, and then some cloud leopards. But in the previous slide, I want to point out that you had seen the tiger under anesthesia, and sometimes the specialty hospital in Houston and the zoo will actually collaborate together to get those animals taken care of. Now, right now, I think this is something that we can all appreciate is the need for good medical research, and veterinarians are actually a vital part of medical research. Right now, there are veterinarians actively working to help understand emerging diseases, and unfortunately, one of those is COVID-19. There are veterinarians currently working to help bring vaccines for COVID-19 to market, and also to continue to understand how that virus can affect not only people, but various species of animals as well. There's a lot we still don't know about that. One interesting fact is that dogs are actively being trained to identify COVID positive individuals by smell, and that's an ongoing study, and there is a pilot project underway right now to use this technology in airports to have these doggies screening folks to try and prevent the spread of this disease via air travel. So that's kind of some exciting new stuff. So one other facet that I think you all know about is that there are a lot of, animals aren't always pets. Sometimes we have animals that actually work, and one really good example of that are military and working dogs. So veterinarians are an integral part of maintaining the health of working dogs and sometimes horses in the armed forces and the police. Now, police dogs are usually seen by general practice veterinarians in their local area. For example, when I was an associate veterinarian in Pearland, I oftentimes saw the Pearland Police Department dogs that they had working for them. They had a Belgian Malinois and a Bloodhound. But what about military dogs? It turns out that every branch of the U.S. Armed Forces employs military working dogs, and the Army actually has its own veterinary corps that helps care for them. One really neat example that's near our area is that the Military Working Dog Hospital on Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. It's a specialized veterinary hospital that is there to help support not only with health benefits, they are there to also breed and train military working dogs. And as you see from this story here, if a dog is injured in combat or in training or shows signs of post-traumatic stress disorder, which they can suffer from that too, you can be sent to the dog hospital at Lackland Air Force Base for surgery rehabilitation. So another really exciting facet of veterinary medicine. So let's talk about education. How do you become a veterinarian? Well, after high school, you go to college and get a 4-year undergraduate degree, and that degree can be in anything. It could be in math, it could be in social studies, but you do have to include the prerequisites, which are a list of certain classes that are required to have done to be able to apply to vet school. So there are 33 veterinary schools in the United States, and there are 2 of them in Texas. That's Texas A&M and Texas Tech. And the vet school at Texas Tech is just brand new, and they're going to have their first class start in 2021. Vet school itself is a 4-year program. Upon graduation, you may choose and will be prepared to go directly into practice. And for example, that's what I did, straight into private practice. Or you can continue your education, become what they call board certified. And that's what you usually do if you want to specialize in certain things such as surgery. The cost of vet school definitely varies with what school you choose to go to, but one thing is sure, And that is in-state tuition is always more affordable than out-of-state. For example, if you are a resident of Texas, you're going to have less tuition paid than if, say, you go to school in Texas, but you're a resident of Kansas. For example, Texas A&M Vet School currently projects $25,000 a year for your in-state tuition at vet school versus $38,000 a year if you're an out-of-state student. So let's talk a little bit about average veterinary income. This chart shows the difference of annual salary for full-time associate veterinarians by the years of experience. And what this chart indicates is that the more experience you have, the greater your earning potential. But across the board, the average starting salary is around the $80,000 a year mark, and that's for full-time associate veterinarians. An associate veterinarian is a veterinarian that works at a practice that's owned by someone else, whereas veterinarians can be practice owners. Not all of them own their own practice. So it is never too early to start. If you think or you know you are interested in becoming a veterinarian, I believe that this talk is geared towards 7th and 8th graders. Start now. You always want to strive for academic success in all of classes, but especially you want to emphasize and take as many math and science courses as you can. Another really important thing to do is to get out there and learn about animals. Do everything you can. You can join FAA, like our friend Zane and Sadie here, 4-H, or volunteer at your local animal shelter. Those are things that eventually will be important for your application to vet school. That can be very competitive, and so you're going to want to work to make yourself the best candidate if that's what you want to do. This slide is to remind you of one thing. Veterinary medicine isn't just about animals. We focus and strive for helping animals. We work on the well-being and health of animals, but understand that when we help animals, we help people too. And that's probably the coolest thing about a career in veterinary medicine, is that it is a chance to help animals and people at the same time. Here are some suggested websites if you want to learn more. Our friends at Gulf Coast Veterinary Specialists, they traditionally have done an open house in the past, which of course they can't do right now, but will probably continue to do in the future. And I would especially recommend you visit the avma.org and look at their resource section for careers, and they have a document called Veterinary School Admission 101, which is really helpful. I want to thank all of the following folks for helping provide information and pictures for this presentation today. Thanks so much.